Hey, it's Nathan Selove from Okra Films with another edition of Autism Actually Speaking. Today we're going to talk about a topic that I've been becoming very familiar with over the past few weeks. Becoming independent. So I did move out of my parents' house when I went to undergrad, but that was about 60 miles away from the house. I have now moved 1,000 miles from my parents and everywhere I'm familiar with and almost everyone I know. And it has definitely given a new level of independence that I'm not used to. Being this far away from my support system, I'd just like to discuss a few things that have helped me get through this transition. First off, for a lot of autistics that I know, it's really nice to know what's going to happen, but my first tip would be expect to be blindsided. You're most likely going to be faced with something that either you didn't know would be as complicated as it actually is, or you didn't know would be there in the first place. Paying bills, keeping personal records, trying to establish credit, learning that in order to get credit, you have to have credit. In order to have credit, you have to get credit. All of these new responsibilities can be very disruptive to the natural flow of life that many autistics are used to. And in order to prepare for that, one thing I'd recommend is, if you can, try to become incrementally more independent over the years as you grow up. And if you can't do that, then research. Learn exactly what you're going to be responsible for. My second tip is to take breaks when you can. Allow yourself to have downtime. Make sure that there's a sensory-friendly place that you can go to if things get too overwhelming. In order to do this, I would recommend scheduling things. For example, if you want to hang out with a friend at some point, maybe schedule it a few days ahead of time. So that way it doesn't necessarily creep up on you at the end of the day. My third and final tip is to establish new support systems. Which isn't to say that you need to get rid of your old ones. You should still maintain that relationship and maintain contact with them. However, find new groups that are more proximal. For example, when I moved to Iowa, I started going to a church that had really nice people that shared a similar philosophy to mine. And that was really helpful for me. And if you're not a church person, then there are other options. Join a club, or a social group, or a support group. Start volunteering somewhere if you have the time. It's a good opportunity to build up your resume as well as meet people that care about similar causes. The major reason why I decided to make this video is because I want to normalize the idea of autistics growing up and leading independent lives. I know that there are some extreme circumstances in which that's just not possible. But I would argue that there are less of those circumstances than people think. There have been several points throughout the last week that I have almost melted down. Because this is new for me. This is different. And if you find yourself in that situation, just try to think about what's next. What's the next thing you need to do? Do you need to call someone that you trust for advice? Do you need to go to an office or something to ask for what you need to do? One of the things that I do when I'm being faced with overwhelming stress is I'll try to logic my way out of it. If I'm on a time crunch, I'll think, I don't really have time to break down right now. Because if I do break down, it'll just waste more time. And sometimes that's enough to keep me from breaking down because I really like logic. Don't let the fear of obstacles keep you from taking that next step towards independence and broadening your horizons, because it really does help you be the best version of yourself. If you have any questions or topics you'd like addressed, please leave them in the comments below, or message me on my Facebook, also linked below. And remember, if you've worn a Star Wars shirt every day this week, you might be autistic.